The fire that you are watching now is one of almost 50,000 industrial fires last year. Do you know that fire injures thousands of people every year, people like you and me, and that countless jobs and millions of dollars of wages are lost every year? Fire is not a mystery because we know the causes of fires, yet they happen. They happen because most people are really not interested in fire prevention. Not interested, that is, until fire strikes them. Fire cares not who it strikes or where it strikes. It makes little difference where you work, whether in a new 1- or 2-story building or an older multi-story building, or the industry or business involved. Fire prevention is not a new subject. Fire protection authorities have pleaded with us for years to learn and practice it. But still, people go about in their daily lives unthinking, careless, causing fires. Where do we start? What do we have to do to save our jobs and our lives? Cooperation between management, employees, and the local fire department is one of the best ways to prevent fires. It's people being involved in fire prevention. Many industrial plants and shopping centers have organized fire brigades and fire prevention programs to promote fire safety practices throughout the company premises, to instruct and train all personnel, to effectively fight and control fires, and to help in evacuation if necessary. The primary objective of a fire safety program is to prevent fires, to keep your plant operating, and to assure your safety and your job. In the smaller industrial plants or other occupancies where there is no full-time safety or fire prevention officer, the local fire department is usually happy to give instruction and periodic drills. Cooperation with your fire department will serve a dual purpose. The fire prevention officer will give you the latest fire safety information, such as new techniques and methods of handling hazardous materials. And you can keep your fire department up to date on new materials you handle that might be hazardous, or new processes or storage arrangements that they might need to be aware of in case of fire. Keep your work area clean and orderly. This is one of the best ways to prevent fires. Poor housekeeping can create hazards that can cause fires and injure people like you and me. Look at your work area. Is it littered with rubbish, unused materials, accumulations of dusts, oil drippings, or other job wastes? Keep covered metal trash containers nearby and use them to keep your area free from waste combustibles. If you don't, you may be providing fuel to start a serious fire. Are you really familiar with the area you work in? Do you know where the nearest fire alarm box, telephone, and fire extinguisher is located? If a fire started and quickly cut off your usual means of exit, how would you get out? You must know 2 separate ways of getting out of your building. For your own safety and the safety of others, you should never block aisles leading to exits. At the end of your workday, you should spend an extra minute or 2 and check to see that all electrical and heating equipment is shut off or otherwise properly set for the night, that all your rubbish is in proper containers, and that your cigarettes are out. Start and end each day with your work area free of potential hazards. This is a good way to ensure that your job will be there tomorrow. One of the most frequent fire causes is careless smoking. A burning cigarette or sparks can touch off flammable liquid vapors or certain kinds of dusts, lint, or other materials. If you must smoke at work, you must observe the no smoking areas. No smoking signs are posted for a good reason, your safety, and to guard against fire dangers to property and possible loss of your job from fire. A trash container should never be used as an ashtray. Put out your smoking materials in a fire-safe receptacle and make sure your matches are out. For many of us, the edge of the workbench, windowsill, carton top, or desk is a convenient spot to place a cigarette. One of these times, that cigarette is going to roll off, unnoticed, onto some waiting combustible material. If you must smoke, do so only in an area where it is permitted, and use proper ashtrays. Temporary wiring or extension cords are an invitation to fire. Electric cords should never be hung over nails, wrapped around metal pipes, placed near heat sources, laid in moisture or oil. They should never be laid or hung over passageways where they might be stepped on, driven over, or run into. Loose connections, broken plugs, defective switches or outlets, these are fire danger signs. Always report any electrical equipment in need of repair. Numerous fires have been caused when unprotected lamps or drop lights have broken and the sparks from the exposed filament have ignited vapors, dust, or other materials. If you work in an area where flammable liquid vapors or gases are present, make sure that you are using explosion-proof electrical equipment, specially designed for use in hazardous areas. Unseen vapors from gasoline, benzene, naphtha, and other flammable liquids can ignite explosively. If you work with flammable liquids, don't give the vapors a chance to accumulate. When positive ventilation is used, the fans must be a type designed for hazardous areas. When you transfer flammable liquids from storage drums to safety containers, an approved pump or spring-loaded safety faucet should be used. The container should be electrically bonded to the drum. Clean up spilled liquids immediately. On large flammable liquid spills, notify your fire department. For some of us, gasoline has served as a good cleaning solvent. Gasoline is not a cleaning solvent. It's a fuel. It's made to burn in an engine. Don't take chances with it. The proper storage of flammable liquids is most important. Large amounts of flammable liquids must be kept in metal storage cabinets or specially designed rooms. These rooms should be well ventilated and free from all other combustible materials. Keep only small amounts of flammable liquids at your work area when needed. Keep them in clearly labeled, listed, or approved safety containers. Oil-soaked rags and wiping cloths are an invitation to fire. Keep them in a covered metal container until they are cleaned or disposed of. Sometimes several sources of heat are present. Heat for comfort, heat that we use for power, molding, baking, drying, distilling, and chemical reactions. Always store combustibles away from any source of heat that might be adequate to ignite the combustibles or initiate a chemical reaction. Careless use of cutting or welding equipment has caused thousands of fires and always presents a potential danger. The acetylene torch can produce a 6,000-degree Fahrenheit flame. If there are combustibles nearby, either move the job away to a safe area, move the combustibles away, or protect them with fire-resistant covers. Be certain that the area has been inspected and the work approved by supervisory personnel before beginning a cutting or welding job. Hot slag and sparks, especially from cutting operations, can travel many feet or through openings or cracks. If you are working with cutting or welding equipment near walls, ceilings, or floors that have openings, cover the openings. A charged water hose or fire extinguisher should be ready at hand, and a fire watch station to observe the sparks and globules of hot metal, and promptly extinguish fires in any combustibles that are accidentally ignited. Pipes or other metal objects can conduct heat over a distance, starting a fire out of sight. Check nearby areas and keep watch after the job is done and until the work has cooled sufficiently. Extreme caution must be observed when working near equipment or containers holding flammable liquids, gases, vapors, or dusts. Special fire precautions will be needed on this type of job, possibly including provision of an instrument to check for dangerous concentrations of flammable gases or vapors. If in doubt, call your fire department for advice before starting the job. Friction-produced sparks and heat are also causes of fires. Your work area must be free of flammable vapors or dust before using grinding or spark-producing equipment. Overloaded or sparking motors, overheated bearings, slipping belts, and pulleys should be given immediate attention. If you operate a machine or other equipment and it is not in proper operating order, report it immediately. Don't minimize fire prevention for production. A fire can stop all production for a long time or permanently. If you work at a special process involving materials that are hazardous, you must know what the potential hazards are and how to minimize them. For instance, if you work with metals such as magnesium or magnesium alloys, you should know that you never use water to extinguish a fire involving these materials. Use an extinguisher designed for use on Class D fires. Do you know what Class A, B, C, and D fires are? They are the 4 recognized types of fires. Portable fire extinguishers of current manufacture bear a series of markings, so one may quickly be identified for the particular class of fire on which it may be used. Class A fires involve ordinary combustibles such as wood, cloth, paper, rubber, and many plastics. These fires are best controlled by the cooling effect of water, water solutions, or the effects of certain dry chemicals that interrupt the combustion process. The proper extinguisher for a Class A fire is identified by the letter A in a green triangle. Class B fires are those involving oil, gasoline, grease, paint, or other flammable liquids. These fires are best controlled by cutting off the supply of air or oxygen, by use of carbon dioxide, dry chemicals, or foam. The extinguisher is marked by the letter B in a red square. Class C fires involve electrical equipment. The use of electrically non-conducting extinguishing agents such as carbon dioxide or dry chemicals is required to safely control this type of fire. An extinguisher for use on Class C fires is marked by the letter C in a blue circle. Class D fires involve certain combustible metals such as magnesium, titanium, zirconium, sodium, and potassium, and require a blanketing, heat-absorbing special extinguishing agent that is not chemically reactive with the burning metal. The proper extinguisher is identified by the letter D in a yellow star. Some portable extinguishers are suitable for use on more than one class of fire. These extinguishers are marked for each class of fire on which they may be used. Know where the extinguisher is in your work area. Read the label, and most important, know how to use it. If you don't, then have someone show you. If you use an extinguisher, never place it back on the rack or hanger, regardless of how small the amount used. It must be refilled or replaced immediately. Notify your supervisor. Many factories, office buildings, industrial park areas, and shopping centers have automatic sprinkler systems. This is a system of overhead piping, having frequently spaced discharge devices called sprinklers, or sprinkler heads. Except for systems designed for special occupancies, the sprinkler heads are normally closed and are designed to open at a predetermined temperature and discharge water so as to completely cover the area of the fire. To ensure that the discharge of water is not obstructed, stockpiles and racks must be at least 18 inches below the sprinkler heads. The 130 fires a day that occur in factories and industrial plants cause the loss of thousands of jobs, and most important, people are injured and lives are lost. This is why you should know what to do if a fire occurs. Taking the correct action during the first few minutes of a fire can mean the difference between a small fire extinguished with little damage or a disaster. Where is the nearest fire alarm box to your work area? Do you know how to operate it? If you are not certain that you know how, have someone show you. Fire alarm boxes on public streets send an alarm directly to the fire department. When a box is pulled, be sure that someone stays at the box to show the firefighters where the fire is. Many fire alarm boxes or pull stations in plants, shopping centers, and other properties activate only the alarms on the property and do not transmit the alarm directly to the fire department. In this case, it is the responsibility of the security personnel or responsible department to notify the local fire department. If there are no fire alarm boxes available, it will be necessary for you to notify the fire department by telephone immediately. Give them the exact location of the fire, the type of fire, injuries, or persons trapped if known. If a fire occurs and you are able to do so safely, check to see that doors are closed in your area. It will slow down the spread of the fire and smoke. Do you know where the fire extinguishers are located? Do you know what type of extinguisher to use? And do you know how to use it? Do you know where the standpipe hose is located and how to use it? Remember, all the hose must be completely removed from the rack before the water is turned on. Kinks in the hose will restrict the water flow. To ensure a maximum and sufficient water supply, open the valve all the way and see that all kinks in the line are removed. When you leave a burning building, the following procedure is recommended and should be included in periodic drills. Stop work, shut off power, fuel supplies, and machines. Place stools or other obstacles out of the aisles. Do not take time to get your clothes, pocketbooks, or other personal belongings, but go directly in an orderly manner to the nearest exit from your area. Close doors to the fire area en route if possible. In the event of a fire, regardless of its size, do not use the elevators. Use the nearest exit stairways. Elevators may be deactivated by a fire, causing anyone inside to be trapped, or they may automatically stop and doors open at a floor involved in fire. Don't run, don't lag, don't shout. Leave the building immediately, and once outside the building, go to a safe designated area. Stay outside the building until the fire department determines that it is safe for you to return. A good fire exit plan calls for a systematic accounting for all persons who were in the fire area by meeting in a predetermined location outside the building. There is no excuse for having almost 50,000 industrial fires a year. Most of these fires can be prevented by you and me. The daily practice of fire prevention and your knowing what to do if a fire occurs can save your job or your life.